In this section, we're going to go over PHP and object-oriented programming. Now, there are a few ways to program, and one way is procedural, which is usually what was used when PHP first came around. And then we have OOP, or object-oriented programming, which is it's just an idea of looking at certain things in programming as objects. And objects have properties and they have methods. So properties are kind of like characteristics, and methods are action. And methods do something. They're basically functions that are attached to an object, and every object has a class. So I know they may be some new terms to you, but hopefully in this section I can make you understand a little bit better how this all works. So I'm going to go to my htdocs folder, and I'm going to create a new folder called S7, and I want to create my index.php as we've been doing. Whoop, forgot the N. And I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call that classes. Now, we don't have to create this folder. We could just put the class file right in the root, but it's good practice to have all your classes together somewhere. Sometimes the folder's called libs or libraries. I'm just going to use classes. And we're going to create a class, and you want to name the file after the class. In this case, it's going to be car.php. So I'm using cars as an object just because we can relate it to a real life thing. It's a little easier to describe when you understand what the object is, you know what a car is, what it does, what characteristics it has. So I find it to be a little easier to teach object-oriented programming in this way. So we have our index file. I'm going to open that up with Notepad, as well as my car.php file. So we want to go to our browser, and we'll go to localhost/s7. Alright, so now we're ready to go. The first thing I want to do is create the class. I want to create a class and create some properties and some methods. So the way we declare a class or create it is we write the word class and then the name of it. In this case is going to be car, and the name of your class should be uppercase. And then we just want some curly braces. Now everything that has to do with the car object or the car class goes in between these curly braces. Now the first thing we can do is create some properties. So this should be pretty easy to understand. I'm going to create a property called make, and I'll explain the public in a minute. I'm going to create a property called model and a property called color. Okay, so it's pretty easy to understand. Every car has a make, model, and color. Alright, what this public is, it's one of 3 access identifiers, and 3 available access identifiers in PHP 5 is public, private, and protected. Now, what public means is that you can access this make property anywhere at all, out of the class, in the class, anywhere. It's available to anybody, anywhere. If we have it private, that means that nobody out of the class can access this particular property. You have to either go through a method that belongs to the class, or you can only use it in the class directly. Protected means that you can't use it out of the class, but you can use it in a class that's extended from another class. So if we create another class called Honda that extends the car class, then we could still use this particular property. And good practice usually is to have all your properties private, and then create a public method to get to them. And we're going to do that, but I just want to I'm just going to keep them public at the moment. So I'm just going to keep this for now. It's just a class with 3 public properties. And I'm going to go back to my index file. And in order for us to even access the car class, we need to include the file. So we went over this in an earlier section. We're just going to say php include, and this is going to be, it's in the classes folder, and it is car.php. Alright, so now we've included that class in that file. Now to create an object, we can create as many car objects as we want. We just need to give it a variable, and we need to say it's a new car. So in order to do that, let's say variable car1. I'm going to say it equals new car, and that should have some parentheses. And the parentheses are actually optional unless you have a constructor that's in your class and you need to give it some parameters, but I usually just keep it there. So now we actually have a car object, which is held in this car1 variable. Now we can assign properties to the car, either a make, model, or color, from this file only because these are set to public. So let me show you how we would do that. So we can say car1 make. So this is this hyphen and greater than sign, which looks like an arrow, is kind of it's saying that we want the make of the car1 object to be whatever we want. Let's just say Toyota. Alright, so now we've given our car object the make of Toyota, so we can actually echo that out. Say car1 make, and if we reload, let's see, we say class car not found, index PHP on line 3. Okay. I'm sorry, we don't even have PHP tags. Alright, sorry about that. Brain fart. Alright, so if we reload this, now we have Toyota. Okay, and we can change this. Let's change it again. Change it to Honda. It's going to echo out Honda. So it changes the actual variable. Once we say that the car make is Honda, it's no longer Toyota. So we can't access this again after we redeclare it. So that's how you would use public properties. The next thing I want to do is add in some methods. So let's add a method. We'll say public, and now we want to name it, and I'm just going to call it start. So this is a method to start the car. And you can also imagine this as if we're programming a video game, because this is similar to what we would do if we were actually creating a game, race car game or something like that. So our start method, all it's going to do is it's going to echo out car starting. Okay, that's all it's going to do. So if we save that, and let's just get rid of this stuff, and we'll say car1 start, and that should actually have some parentheses. So if we reload, okay, we're getting an error here, unexpected start t-string. Let me see, on line 7, oh, I'm sorry, we need to write public function. Alright, so public function start. Now let's reload it. Alright, so now our car is starting. It's calling this method from the index.php file. Now remember I said that usually you want to keep your properties private, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make these all private. and I'll actually show you what happens if we try to access them. So let's say car1 make is Ford. So let's save that and reload, and you can see very blatantly it says we cannot access private property car make. Alright, so what we need to do here is, let's say we want to set the make to Ford. What we need to do is create a method to do that. So we'll say public function set make. Okay, so this should have a parameter of what we want the make to be, and then all it's going to do is assign a make. So what we want to do is say this make. Now this is a keyword that you want to use whenever you're dealing with properties of the class. So if we're in a function, if we're in a property or a class function and we want to access a class property, we need to use this. So all this is going to do, this set make function or method, when I say function, method, they use interchangeably. A method is pretty much just a function that's in a class. So we're going to say this make equals make, which is going to be what the user types in the parameter field. So we can save that, and then we can go to our index file, and now we can say car1 set make, and we can set the make. We can say, let's say Chevy. Alright, so if we save this and reload, we're not going to get anything because all we've done is set the make to Chevy. Now what we need to do is create another method to get the make. So we'll say public function get make, and that's not going to take any parameters. And what this is going to do is it's going to return this make. Alright, so now we've set the make to Chevy. Now we can actually get the make. So we can echo out, we want car1 get make. Okay, so save that, and we get Chevy. So we set the make, and then we get the make. Pretty easy to understand. So the next thing I want to talk about is constructors. And a constructor is, all it is a method or a function inside a class that is ran when you create the class. So, when you create an object. So here we created an object. We created a new car. Now a constructor, we can have something happen when we commit this line, when we parse this line. So let me get rid of these set and gets, and I'm going to create a constructor. And the constructor should always be the first function or the first method. So we'll say public function, and it needs to have 2 underscores and then construct. Alright, so that's how you can define a constructor. So in this case, let's just say echo car created. Alright, so what's going to happen when we create a new object, a new car object, we're going to get car created printed out. So this document, this index page, that's exactly what we're doing. We're creating a new car object. So if we reload, we get car created. I don't know why that Chevy is still printing out. Wow, that's weird. Am I missing something? Oh, alright, I didn't save it. So we're getting this printed out just from this is actually called instantiating the class, or instantiating the object. Now we can also add parameters to our constructor, and we can do that in a way where we can actually set these properties without having to use set and get functions or anything like that. So let's get rid of these set and get methods. And in our constructor, we're going to take up 3 parameters, which are going to be make, model, and color. Alright, now if you remember, if we want to access these, we need to use this. We need to use the keyword this. So we're going to say this make is going to be equal to make. And this make is pertaining to this make. So what we're putting in through the constructor when we create the car is actually creating the properties. So next we'll do this model equals model, and this color equals color. Whoop. Alright, so now let's save that. So all we need to do now is input those parameters when we create or instantiate the object. So we'll say Honda Accord and the color can be red. Alright, so let's save that. And we actually, it's good we got rid of the set make or all the sets, but we should create a method to get properties. So let's say public function, let's say get color. So again, this is just going to return this color. Alright, so now we've created a new car. It's a red Honda Accord. Now let's say we want to get the color. We can say echo car1 get color. So if everything goes smoothly, this will be red. And it's not. It's undefined property get color. Oh, we need our parentheses. So we get red because we defined the color as red when we created the new car. Now we can do the same exact thing. We can create another car object. It just has to have a different variable. So we'll say car2, and we'll say this is a Honda Civic, and it's blue. Alright, so we can echo out car2, color is blue. So we're still echoing out the red, the car1 color as well, so we have red, blue. So that's basically, that's the whole structure of object-oriented programming, especially in PHP. We have a class which has properties and methods, and a method is basically just a function that's in a class, and we can have a constructor which runs when we create the object of a class. So maybe that might be a little hard to understand, but as we go in the next project, when we deal with databases, we'll be using object-oriented programming a little more. So hopefully that will drill this into your head, because once you get it, it's really easy. It's kind of scary when you first look at it, especially if you're not a programmer or if you're a procedural type of programmer, but it saves a lot of time, and it gives you a lot of code that you can reuse, you know, so it's really, in the long run, it's much more, it's better. It's just better to program in this way. So that's it. Next we'll be getting into PHP and MySQL databases.